along for all our family fun today. Coming along with us, exploring Epic Universal.
Hi, I'm Cher, and I love sharing travel with you. If you love travel like I do, then make sure you pop that subscribe button, stick around, and let's see what adventures await us. Epic Universal is the newest park at the Universal theme park in Orlando, Florida. We're going to give you an overview of the park and all the fun and rank some of these rides today, but we also really want to focus a lot on if you are a family with disabilities and you need special assistance while at the park. So let's get having fun. Epic Universal is made up of 5 different worlds and 11 rides total so far. Each world is marked with a portal that you basically step through to get to that world. We first start off with the Celestial Park area, kind of the first land you come to when you step into the Epic Universal portal. And this world has 2 different rides, one the Stardust Racers, a big roller coaster, and the Constellation Carousel. Next, you step into Super Nintendo World. You have 3 rides in this one: Mario Kart, Yoshi's Adventure, and Minecart Madness. Next, you step into the Dark Universe featuring 2 rides, Frankenstein and Curse of the Werewolf. And then you come to another Harry Potter world here, which features only 1 ride, the Ministry of Magic. And finally, we end up in the How to Train Your Dragon's Land. There are 3 rides here, all outdoors. Okay, so one thing to note about the Epic Universe is it's kind of separate from the other parks. I have to do a voiceover because of the copyright music in the background, but basically this is separate from the same area as Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios. You don't have to go through the big parking garage or city walk and all of that, but you will still go through security after this long sidewalk to get there. Definitely a long walk. You still go through security and all that. Food and drinks, they don't care. You can bring them in. They stopped me for the cans, but they just looked at them, and so they're still letting me bring them, so letting you know about that. Next, the AAP, or the Attractions Assistance Pass, has changed recently. It's best to pre-register with the IBCCES now. You can do this online and go ahead and fill out your request to have assistance if you have cognitive disabilities. So with autism in our family, we were able to qualify for that, but you do have to explain why your person needs these accommodations. Once you fill this out, they call you close to when your trip happens. You want to be available to answer that phone call because you're going to need to talk with them and explain why your child or person needs these accommodations. Otherwise, you stand in this long line like we did in the sun for an hour just to try to talk about it. Now, this is not for those with physical disabilities like needing a wheelchair. So we did have a wheelchair because of mobility issues, and we just found an alternative route that usually had an elevator. It is a little extra. It gets very crowded and overwhelming, especially in Nintendo Universe, I noticed. But you can always find the elevator routes, and they have alternative routes for the rides. It doesn't mean that you skip a long wait. It just means that you can find places where you can get your wheelchair up and down multiple floors like Super Nintendo Land. Places like Super Nintendo World can be very overwhelming, big sensory overload. So if you have one with cognitive disabilities like autism, it's going to be a lot. Also, food. It is tricky because you're going to wait in an hour to 2-hour line just to get into the restaurants like this one. And for somebody like myself who is vegan because of a lot of food allergies, it was tough. The only thing I could find was marinara spaghetti. I recommend bringing as much food as you can of your own. What the Attractions Assistance does for you is it allows you to come up with a time to come back to the ride to ride it. So you do kind of skip the lines, but you're still going to wait the same amount of time. So there was a 3-hour ride for Mario Kart here, which was the first ride that our son wanted to do, but we had to wait for 3 hours before we could come back to it. And they don't let you ride another ride until then. So I highly recommend getting the Express Pass as well, and then chart out your strategy. Get a time for one of your most popular favorite rides, and then ride another ride with the Express Pass in the meantime. They do shut down some rides that are outdoors in case of lightning, but if it's only raining, it will continue. We did end up getting to ride Yoshi's Adventure in the rain with our ponchos on because there wasn't really lightning. This is one of the most child-friendly and soothing rides in the park. You're going to have a few that are lighter, but then some that are much scarier. We move on to the Constellation Carousel, which is in Celestial Park. This is another lighter, smaller children's ride, but very soothing and nice. I'd say that probably this one is the best for sensory issues. It does light up on the ride. It has soothing music. A lot of other places are a bit more overwhelming. Definitely, Nintendo World is your sensory seeker's land. If you're looking for thrill seeking, you got a few more roller coasters. One is the Stardust Racers, and there's a couple more in How to Train Your Dragon. However, those are outdoors too, so anytime that lightning is around, they will shut those down. And they ended up shutting all three of the ones in How to Train Your Dragon because of the fact that they were outdoors, so we didn't get to ride those. Next, moving along to Harry Potter Land, we feel that this is probably the most well done, most immersive Harry Potter land yet, but all of the Harry Potters at the Universal parks are really good. This one takes you through 1920s Paris, as well as the British Ministry of Magic in the 1990s. This is a land where I feel like you just take in the experience. You can do more of your shopping and browsing and strolling along because there's really just the one ride. The Ministry of Magic, though, is very, very popular, has a very long wait time, and it's one of the ones that you cannot use your Express Pass for. So we did use the Attractions Assistance Pass for this one. I was actually quite surprised that the butterbeer line was not nearly as long at Epic Universal as some of the other parks, so definitely grab your butterbeer here. So when we get to the Ministry of Magic ride, we are offered the choice to be able to experience the full queue because this is an immersive experience in and of itself. So in a wheelchair, you can still experience some of it if you like, or you can bypass it and head to the elevators and go quicker if you want to use the assistance pass. I also want to mention that we have type 1 diabetes in the family as well. The assistance pass will not help with that either. So any of the more medical or physical disabilities are not going to be qualifying for the attractions assistance pass. And here we got our butterbeer. Of course, I didn't because I'm vegan, but everybody else enjoyed theirs. And then we are back off to Dark Universe to enjoy the Frankenstein ride. Surprisingly, the Frankenstein ride was actually a short line. I was surprised because it's a very popular ride. It ended up being only 25 minutes. Now, the way that the Attractions Assistance Pass works is that if you have a ride that's under 30 minutes, you just have an alternative route that you go through. But if it's over 30 minutes, then that's when you go back and have to get your appointment time for the ride. I believe we just ended up using our express passes on this one though. And so it probably all still came out to about 20 minutes or so total. Now, if you do have something like type 1 diabetes, on these, we had to put everything in lockers anyway because loose items could fall out on this one. It's a virtual fun experience. So everyone has lockers, but on all of the rides, you have alternative lockers like medical lockers that you can get to easily to store insulin or an insulin pump if you have to take it off, or extra snacks, glucose tabs, what have you. So that's more how they accommodate medical issues like type 1 diabetes. And finally, we come to the How to Train Your Dragon land. Now, like I said, this is the one that we missed most of the rides because of lightning and rain. However, my son and I were able to hop on the fire drill because that one was just riding around in a boat. I don't think it was as much of a lightning risk at that time. And this is one though that you will get wet on. So you be prepared for that. Maybe wear a poncho or go when you're really hot and you're ready to get wet. This is the side that's kind of the water immersive ones. And this is another land that's just very neat. I think everything was just super immersive at Epic Universal this time, a lot more so than a lot of the other parks. Some of them are in detail, but this park, You really just truly feel like you're there in the land. You forget your reality. It's just such a magical, amazing, immersive experience.
All right, that's a wrap. We are heading back home, but we had a blast at Epic Universal. So collectively for our family, we rode a total of 7 rides out of the 11 at the park. So here's how we rank them.
I'd put Frankenstein Monsters Unchained as number 1, and then number 2 would be Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry. Free would be, well, I didn't go on Stardust Racers, but Dad and my sister put Stardust in third.
Probably, yeah.
4th would probably be Mario Kart. 5th would be Fire Drill, which is like the water one. 6th would be
How to Train Your Dragon.
6th would be Yoshi, and then 7th would be the carousel.
Yes, that was what Constellation Carousel, something like that.
Yeah.
Last. I mean, it was Carousel. So there we have it. So you think that Frankenstein was better than Harry Potter?
I think
Slightly.
Slightly, yeah. I think that our thinking on that is that Harry Potter was a little similar in feel to the same one over at the OG. What's the name of the one at the OG?
Forbidden Journey.
Forbidden Journey. It's similar, so it's like we were already used to it a little bit. So Frankenstein was a little bit more unique for us, but both were incredible. We were almost tied on those two. So overall, do I think that you could do everything in a day? You're gonna have to really get there as soon as the park opens. I think it doesn't open till 10. We were there a little later, like 12 or 1. I think that if you've already got your pass lined up ahead of time and have everything in place, it'll save you a good hour and a half, so you can go straight to hopping on the rides. Do I think you could fit them all in one day? I think if you had the express pass, you could, and you boogie, you could do it, but you're going to be rushed. You might not be able to really take in the full immersive experience, shop in all the shops and all that. So you may benefit from 2 days there, but you could potentially do it if you really strategize. Like I said, collectively as a family, we did 7 out of the 11 rides. And I think we could have done more had we gotten there earlier and had we gotten the passes all lined up ahead. Remember that the food lines are going to be an extra hour to 2 hours as well for you. But this is, of course, going at 4th of July weekend when it's packed. So maybe another weekend when it's not peak season will go better. But that wraps it up today. Those were a lot of our tips. Hopefully that was helpful for you. It was definitely an epic time at Epic Universal.